Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Faces for Autism Streaming with Love Telethon. I'm Jacob Hackett. You've heard from Miss America. You've heard from people all around South Jersey in our community. Now it's time to hear on a topic that has been on my mind for years, that needs to be heard, and I'm proud tomorrow to be speaking on it in Atlantic Cape Community College. The topic is accessibility. We need to make the world a more inclusive place for those who have significant complex disabilities, not just mentioning autism, but we're also mentioning other people with other disabilities. Here to tell us what his church is doing as far as accessibility and how we can all work together is Randy Van Alsten. Randy, thank you for coming back this year. Different subject. So I mentioned accessibility. Tell us what your church is doing, what needs to be continued going forward.
Sure. Hey, Jacob, thank you again for having me this year. It's great to be able to return and be a part of this great fundraiser. Hopefully everyone's opening their wallets wide and donating. It's a great cause. Accessibility, it's an important topic for me, it's more than a topic, it really affects people's lives, if places aren't accessible, it's more than just that they can't get inside. They don't feel included. They don't feel loved or appreciated. And so it's been since almost a year now, 10 months. I've been at First Baptist Church of Pittman for about 5.5 years now. And I got there and they had a elevator, which technically is really a vertical platform lift. So it's smaller than a regular elevator, but if you have a wheelchair, you can still access the sanctuary and the bottom floor of the first building. And so we have wanted to make sure that was accessible. They had a dream to make it accessible in the 90s, and so they were able to make that dream a reality. However, in April, decided to stop working, and we tried fixing it. We had multiple elevator companies come out, and nobody could find parts. So that kind of really hindered any progress that we could make with it. So finally, after those companies researched for parts, they checked every company that they had access to or that they knew of, any warehouses, and nobody had the parts. So that meant we were back at square one. What were we going to do? And so tried to contact companies that dealt specifically with the type of vertical platform lift that we needed. And it took a while. I guess part of COVID still is, affecting people between being short-staffed, or maybe there's a lot of people getting vertical platform lifts and elevators right now. And I hope there are. Like, that would be amazing to me. I think everybody would be pretty excited about that. But one of the guys from our church, Steve, he contacted multiple companies asking for quotes, and because it's always a good measure to have 3 quotes, and you don't always go with the cheapest one. You go with the one that has the best deal all around. And so he had emailed pictures, texted pictures, met a couple of companies there. I think he was in contact with at least 4 or 5 companies, and we ever only got 1 quote back from a company. And we tried to wait a while, and I was like, we can't wait anymore. We need to really push forward with this. And so we're at a point now where we tried to fundraise a bit to pay for it, because it's not cheap. To go fixing it would have been maybe a few hundred to a couple thousand at the most. But to replace it, it's going to cost almost $25,000. But I think it's an investment well made to be accessible. And so we just got an email over the weekend, I think, that said that they're projecting to start March 14th. The church was able to use their a line of credit loan to pay for it, and hoping to maybe fundraise to pay off some of that line of credit, so it's not so big, you know. So we've been able to raise about a quarter of it thus far. But hopefully March 14th, they'll start to work, and I don't think it'll take more than a week. But I'm not sure. I've never never had to deal with that process. I don't know how much it takes to get an old vertical platform lift and put a new one in. So I guess it depends on how much things they run into, any problems they run into, which is always a part of construction.
Yeah, and I mean, well, Randy, you know this. You've been in and out of buildings, as have I. I would say a vertical platform is not your traditional type of elevator anymore. Your traditional type of elevator is probably something you would see in a hospital, in a casino, or something along those lines.
Right.
To my knowledge, they do not make traditional platforms any platform elevators anymore. I was in Atlantic City recently and I was on one. And when I looked back at the history of the casino was built, excuse me, not built, correct my words. The casino was opened in 1979. That would make sense because they had that's their type of accessibility back then. This is now. The ADA's been around for 25 years. Friends, friends, let's do something. This is why I'm speaking on this topic tomorrow. Please, we need more people to get involved. And if someone wants to help, I know a GoFundMe is they take a large percentage. If someone wants to help you, how could they go about doing so?
If they would like to donate, we have a PayPal. They can donate through PayPal and just mark the donation for the elevator. So it's just First Baptist Church on PayPal, First Baptist Church of Pittman on PayPal. Or if they want to, they could send the church a check at 30 North Broadway, Pittman, New Jersey, 08071, and just write in the memo that it's for the elevator. We appreciate any donation. No donations too small, or we're doing some creative stuff. There's a guy that does some like meals for people during the week, once a week, and does catering. And so they just did a dessert, and every month, and all the money they raised through the dessert that went with the dinner is coming to the elevator fund. So it's just a creative way to do it. You know, we're going to probably try to think of some other things as well, have some events when it gets nicer out. Because like I said, it's important to be accessible. And I think more churches, especially, I mean, as we are, you know, called to be the body of Christ, as we're called to do to others, as we would have them do to us, as we're called to love people, love our neighbor as ourselves. We would want people to get into our buildings. I know it's difficult with a lot of older buildings, because buildings were built then with a lot of stairs, and churches especially were then added on to at different points. Our church has at least 4 additions to it. It's pretty crazy the way they did it, but it's doable. And maybe not every part of your church, like right now, not every part of our church can be accessible, but the majority of it would be. The sanctuary would be, our thrift store would be, our classrooms, 2 of the classrooms and one of the gathering rooms is accessible right now because there's a ramp that goes into that part of the building. But I think churches could look into it and at least start to get the ball rolling, and maybe the creative juices flowing to how can they make it happen. Where you know, like I said, it's more than just them accessing your building. It's them, it's people feeling like they do belong and that they want to be, that they are included. Like you said, that inclusion, right? I mean, isn't that what the kingdom of God's about inclusion? It's a welcoming community. And so, but it extends to all of our community. How can we make more of our buildings accessible? And I think it might take some creativity to make it happen.
Yeah, and more people need to realize, excuse me, how can buildings be made more accessible? Because just as you're saying, some of these churches are upwards of 200 to 250 years old. What can physically be done? A friend of mine who I interviewed earlier tonight, she told us that she takes her son to Boy Scouts. Her son is wheelchair bound, and the meetings take place in the church's basement, and there's 30 steps going down. I said, can't you do something about it to fix it? And she said, right now we have other Boy Scouts helping us, but it's something to be looked into. And I said, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to that, it's like I think it's nice that they have people that can help bring her son up and down the stairs, but at the same time, I wonder if it's almost demeaning, you know, in a way, like, well, we're gonna, I guess, get you in there if we have to, so let us carry you down the stairs. Which, I mean, at least they're doing that. I understand that, but I wonder.
There's
like,
more. Yeah, there's more to it.
yeah,
Like there's more to the story that say, I don't know, but that was just an example that I gave you. Well, it's a real example, but that was an example of why an elevator could be used. So please, friends, if you can donate to Pittman's elevator fund, please do so on PayPal. Speaking of donations, if you would like to donate to Faces for Autism tonight, during tonight's broadcast, please do so down the bottom of the screen. There's a button on Venmo, there's a button on all your Cash App, Zelle, PayPal, you name it. There's a million one ways to donate. Please donate if you can. These churches and other facilities need to become more accessible. Thank you.